If you're into self-improvement, but you haven't been consistent with your goals and your habits, and you actually haven't been motivated. For example, you've done something for a week and you've been consistent, dialed in for a week, but then afterwards, you've just done nothing for two, meaning you've took one step forward and then two steps back. If that's what you felt, and as a result of this, you haven't actually seen any sort of change in your life, you haven't seen progress with your appearance, your physique, your own mental space, and what you desire is to be consistent for more than just a week, more than just a month, for a year. In fact, for 10 whole years. Actually, just imagine what you would look like if you were consistent for 10 years. For 10 years, you meditated. For 10 years, you woke up at 5 a.m. The kind of person you would be, not just as like a young man, not just as a young adult or a teenager, but as this grown person who's got everything together, and you've become an attractive man where women find you extremely attractive, and it's actually easy to get any sort of option for a long-term relationship, and you yourself have a lot of confidence in your appearance, and thus in social scenarios, you're walking on the street or you're at a party or you're with your friends, you just have a spark and you have an overall passion that you haven't had before because you're confident about yourself. And so being consistent with all these things, you've become a more masculine man in terms of thinking and both looks. You've got a thicker neck and your overall physique is just more solid. This all, once again, comes from being consistent. And the number one issue is you haven't actually broadened your time period. And so the issue with today, and the issue with a lot of self-improvement, is that they constantly try and create urgency, and they constantly try and make you worried and make you despair about the future because you haven't got your life together. And they constantly remind you of your regrets, that you haven't done this for this period of time, and you haven't done this, and you haven't been consistent. And the reason why they all do this is because when you're in this low frequency, very negative emotional state, you're actually more likely to buy whatever they're selling. And so it's all coming from a place of just harvesting. They're literally trying to harvest you. And so you have to broaden your horizon in the sense that don't think about the people who talk about the September to October great lock-in or September to December great lock-in, me and bro. And the issue is that it's such a short period of time that you actually stress yourself out over a result that's not even that good. And so what you have to do is to think about it in a 10-year plan. This isn't my original idea, if you've known Chris from First Man. It's to think about all of your goals and all of the things that you're doing in that 10-year period. If I wake up at 3 a.m., can I actually do that for 10 years? Okay, maybe not. What is a better goal? What is something that I can do for 10 years that will yield me a result? Oh, I can wake up at 5 a.m. And that's good because I actually like sleeping early at 9 p.m. It stops me from going out and drinking and basically ruining my body. And when I have the best prime of my life, when I have the most motivation to change and when I have the most testosterone, yeah, this is a great idea because I'm thinking in 10 years, not just 2, not just 1, not just over the summer. And so what happens when you think in 10 years is that you remove a lot of the stress. A lot of the stress to be a millionaire by 25, because frankly, quite frankly, you haven't actually done many of these things because you're constantly stressed. This kind of thinking hasn't worked for you, has it? If you haven't gotten everything that you've possibly ever wanted, maybe it's because of the way you think, the way you're thinking in such a very short-term mindset. I would actually argue that between the man who thinks in short term and the man who thinks in like 10 years, between the man who thinks, how do I change over the school holidays, or like, how do I change in a month, versus the man who goes, okay, how do I change the most in 10 years? What do I have to do every single day? Which one, number one, right, when you think of these two and you think about yourself in this position, which actually makes you feel like a warm, bubbly feeling? Which makes you feel like motivated and like positive and happy? And which just drains you of your energy and makes you stressed? I would say You feel stressed with the person who wants to get everything done in a year. And you just feel amazing with the 10 years because you have a lot of time. But this isn't like an excuse for you to think, okay, this means I have a lot of time, I don't have to do anything. You'll only actually get everything you want in 10 years if you work. If I am consistent for 10 years, what can I accomplish? What kind of person would I be? And so the very first thing that we need to actually do, and what you need to start with, is your sleep. That's the very first foundational step to being consistent. You have to be like autistically consistent with your sleep, meaning if you set a bedtime, so please actually set a bedtime first. Think of a time, like maybe even write it down, of when you're going to sleep and when you're going to wake up. And I'll tell you a few things about it first, but what I want you to think about is this. When you're consistent with the very basics of your life, and so when you build a good foundation, you can actually start focusing on other things because you're not constantly worrying about the very basics of your life. The reason why sleeping is so good, like sleeping consistently, meaning like to a 1 to 2 minute margin of error, you always go to bed at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. and you do that every single day. What that shows is not only a level of determination, but it shows an attribute that is extremely necessary for you to actually get any sort of progress in your life and also to be consistent, which is selfishness. More so prioritizing your goals over what other people want. And so your goals and your desires and your ambitions, the habits that you want to do and the plans that you create outweigh any other thing, including what your parents, friends, or girlfriend want. That's what it shows. Because if you consistently sleep at 9 p.m., no matter what, I think Muhammad Ali talked about this. He said the hardest thing is to sleep early, to be in bed tucked in by 9 p.m. because you have all of this desire to go out, to do something, to have fun, or maybe it's the complete opposite. You just want to work, hammer it down. The problem is that it's not consistent. What we want to do is to create consistency with the very basics of your life, so that I highly believe in this idea of momentum. This idea of, if you do something good and you build upon that, you're going to be reaping on that reward for a very long time, and you've created action, and so it's so easy to just go with the flow and to go with the current. And the reason why perhaps you're in a rut right now is because you've done 100 negative habits in a row, and it just feels like you can't escape it because you're swimming against the current. And here's a little mindset shift that I think will really help you to become the better version of yourself. If you've done 10 negative habits, a really easy way to break this momentum and to get out of the rut is just to consciously do 10 or 15 good habits. Go, okay, I've genuinely ruined my morning, but that's not really an excuse to just laze around for the rest of the day. What I'll do is 10 good habits to counteract that, and then I'll start on 0. That way I can create a momentum towards what I want to do. So maybe you relapsed and you played a few video games and you just did things you didn't want to do. What you can do is maybe clean your room, just like put out your washing, or perhaps go out for a walk and just do little habits like have a cold shower, just little things to create this kindling, this fire, this momentum that will actually skyrocket your progress. So you're stopping that and cutting that momentum towards destroying your life just there. So it's no longer affecting you, and you're stopping, and so you're not actually stepping backwards. You're not stepping backwards because a lot of the times it's not what you do, it's really what you shouldn't do that really affects you. And so if you don't do all the bad habits, you're at a much better place than if you were to do both the bad habits and the good, if that makes sense. And so the selfishness that I'm talking about is really necessary if you want to be consistent for a week, for a month, for a year, for 10 years, and actually reap the rewards from that consistency. And it has a compounding effect. And when you're selfish and you prioritize yourself, you're investing a lot of energy and you're investing a lot of focus and a lot of time into yourself. You're more likely to succeed. For a lot of people who are people pleasers, for a lot of people who may have some sort of childhood issue where they had trauma, where maybe they had abandonment issues, or you know, there was family trauma or some trauma at school where they got bullied, a lot of the times this develops into an unhealthy obsession with pleasing other people and getting validation from other people. And you almost, as a result of that, don't love yourself enough. And that's usually the issue for a lot of people in being consistent. It's because they don't love themselves enough. They don't think it's worth it. And it's a subconscious thing. So you don't actually, some people actually consciously think, oh, I hate myself, blah, 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 and this negative thinking. And others have a more subconscious thinking. But the problem at the end of the day lies in the fact that you have to really address this issue at the core. And how you do that is by just investing in yourself and being selfish. And I really hope right now you can actually repeat this, what I'm about to say. I am worth changing. I am worth prioritizing. I am worth taking care of myself. I love myself. When was the last time you said any of those? When was the last time you've prioritized yourself over other people? When was the last time you stopped trying to initiate conversations, where you stopped trying to be liked, and you've just accepted everything? That's why I'm saying start with sleep. It's basic, but what it allows you to do is to take control of the very basics, the foundations of your life, so you can actually lay the bricks necessary to succeed, to lay the bricks necessary to build this beautiful house, this beautiful garden, where you can attract all the butterflies. And so I really hope you understand this. Understand that you're worthy of changing. You understand that it's actually okay to be a bit selfish. You're young. You are deserving of change. It shouldn't be normal for you to feel like crap all the time, to feel anxiety. This isn't normal. Accept this. Say it after me. This isn't normal to be anxious, to just want validation from other people. I am worthy of changing. I can be selfish, and that's okay. And so, starting from square one, it's sleeping. Just sleeping. 8 hours, that's all you need. The reason why is because, number one, sleep has a direct correlation with your willpower. And number two, waking up early will allow you to actually use this willpower better because you only have a finite amount. And so number three, if you understand that you have a finite amount of willpower, and sleep helps that, and you waking up early allows you to do tasks easier, because if you think of your willpower as 100 points, and things that you need to do take a certain amount of points, like doing the work that you need to do that you're avoiding takes like 40, 50, 60 points. You have to understand that during the day, from when you wake up to when you go to school or work or out and about, you're using little bits of brain power. 5 brain powers on like what you're going to wear, 10 brain powers on where you're going to go, 11 brain powers, and by the end of the day, you don't actually have enough to do the tasks that you want to do. That's why you feel this brain fog, like this resistance against doing the things when you come home after whatever you did, after whatever your day is over for. And that's why you have this pain threshold to whatever you're trying to do, is because you don't have enough willpower. Like, what you need to do requires 60 brain power points, but because you've done all these other things, you don't have enough. And so when you do it in the morning, and when you dedicate a bit of time, so you wake up just a bit earlier before everything starts, before your parents can interrupt, before your girlfriend starts calling, before you have to go to school or work, and when you set out just a bit of time for yourself, not only does that show a bit of self-love, right? It adds an action to a new identity you're creating where you love yourself and you prioritize yourself. Not only does it do that, but the tasks that you're going to do in that period of time will be 100% easier because it will always fulfill the brain point requirements necessary to do it. And to wake up early and to do these things like meditation or to work or to go for a run or go to the gym, it's quite easy, and you don't have this negotiation in your brain where you're going, should I or should I not do this? It's so beautiful to just prioritize yourself and just to understand these things. And so when you're consistent at this very biological level and you're consistent with the basics, you're actually signaling to your brain that you're in a safe space. Because if you think about when you have inconsistent sleep, what it's kind of showing, if you think about your hunter-gatherer days, is that either something is wrong with your habitat or you're being chased by some sort of predator. And that's the reason why you feel a bit more stressed than usual. That's the reason why you just feel a bit off. Like, you just know you feel a bit off, you just feel a bit unhealthy. That's the reason why. And it will actually affect your willpower as well, as we've talked about, because sleep has a direct correlation with how much willpower you're going to get. So instead of getting 100 brain points, you're going to get like 50. And so even if you wake up early, you don't have enough brain points to do anything. If you've understood this, search for reasons on why you should be consistent. Search for a purpose, because a lot of the times you don't have enough motivation to do the things. And here's what you have to take away. Motivation will only come after the action and the reward. That is the reason why when you eat chocolate, you get a bit of dopamine, and after you want to eat more chocolate. If you've never had chocolate in your life, and you don't know the existence of chocolate, you wouldn't be motivated to do that, right? Because you think, oh, I don't know what chocolate is. You don't even think about it. And so it's the unknown that really affects us, in the sense that we don't really know what it's like to feel the rewards of being consistent for 10 years, to feel the rewards of going to the gym for a year, to feel the rewards of just for a week meditating every single day. And what you need to do is actually create this motivation by yourself, by feeling what it's like to achieve these things. And so you're actually motivated to be consistent with your habits. And how do you do this? You just have to be familiarizing yourself with this life. And how do you do that? Visualization. You visualize what it's like to actually achieve these goals. You visualize your dream life. If you've achieved everything that you've ever wanted, if you've done everything, what kind of person would you be? Close your eyes and think about that. Visualize this kind of person. How tall is he? What does he look like? Where does he wake up and who does he wake up next to? What kind of room is it? What kind of bed is it? How much does he earn? What kind of feeling do you feel as you walk into your bathroom and look at yourself in the mirror? What kind of body do you have? And what do you do during the day? Do you go to the gym? As this person who's achieved everything they've ever wanted in 10 years, and you come from a perspective of, oh, I've already achieved it, how do you feel? You feel motivated, don't you? You feel great. That is the motivation you need to be consistent. Voila, that's it. But remember, you have to do this every single day. The reason why is because if you're driving a car, you wouldn't just look at the road once and then just look down, because you're going to crash. It's the same thing with your goals. If you're driving towards your goal and you're trying to do it every single day, if you take your eyes off of the road and you think, oh, I've done visualization once, I don't need to do it again, or oh, that's not necessary, you're going to crash. And that's how you get into a rut. That's how you become inconsistent. That's why you've done something for a week and all of a sudden you just lose the motivation. You've just, like, for some reason for the last month wasted your whole life away. And so if that really helped, this is the very last thing you can do. You can create a vision board. And what it's doing is creating an actual image outside of just your imagination, so it's more concrete. So if there's a certain lifestyle that you want, a certain bedroom, a certain woman, a certain physique, you get pictures of that, and maybe on Docs or something else, you just put that in. And what that allows you to do is actually, it's like Google Maps. If you're driving a car and you're looking up, and that's considered visualization and doing your habits every single day, Google Maps, knowing where to go so you actually get there faster, would be a vision board. Because it's clear, it's crystal clear. You don't have to use your brain. It's so easy. Any stupid person can do it. So that means obviously you can, because you're a lot smarter than the average person. And my final message would be this: to be consistent, you have to have a clear goal. And so the clearer the goal, the easier it is for you to be consistent. If you liked this video, subscribe, follow me, and I'll see you guys next time.